Human trafficking occurs in every corner of every state, in every city. No neighborhood is immune. This morning on KPRC 2 News Today at 6, I introduced you to Rhonda Kuykendall. She's a survivor of human trafficking. Decades after the abuse ended, Rhonda came within 10 feet of her trafficker. Rhonda is here this morning to talk to us more, to continue sharing with us your story. We so much appreciate you coming on. We first introduced you to our viewers a year ago, more than a year ago, I think it was 13 months ago. And that was telling your story for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Since then, 2023, several updates.
Yes.
Talk to us about those updates, how they came to fruition, and where things are right now.
So I have been fighting the parole process for years. And so, you know, my victimization, we've talked about that before, and I really wanted to focus in on what survivors do after the attacks, after the assaults. We don't know the word trafficking. That's not a word we're familiar with. And we're also not familiar with the justice system. So when my trafficker got 40 years, I thought it would be 40 years. But I found out very quickly that I have to deal with the parole process. So he was paroled, and within 3 weeks, he sent me a threatening letter, and then he went back, but I had to fight his parole every year. He was released again, and then just last year, he had a parole revocation again. So I was invited to go to El Paso to his revocation hearing, and I did that. I paid for my plane ticket, hotel, and then I went to the jail to face off with him. So for about an hour and a half, I sat 10 feet away from him. And I wish I could say it didn't have an effect, but it did. It was highly traumatic, even after 40 years. And so I got back home to Houston, and I just was having a hard time readjusting. And then I got a call from Crime Stoppers of Houston. And Crime Stoppers of Houston said, hey, would you like to come in and do a video, a parole video, so you don't have to go to any more parole processes. And so Monday I went in, and I can tell you that after I taped that, it was almost like a weight lifted off of me. And the reason why is for trafficking survivors. We are in all kinds of spaces. We are counselors, therapists, advocates. I work in legislation. And so whenever a parole hearing is called, it's a different power dynamic. We now have to go into a space where we're talking or meeting with people we don't know. We have to prove that we are so damaged or broken in order for our trafficker not to be released. And so that's why there's such an importance to these videos. I am the first trafficking rape survivor that is able to do one of these videos, but I can tell you it is brilliant if we could expand it and let more victims of crime do this as well.
Yeah, you're the first and hopefully not the last to be able to give your voice to these cases. Talk to us about the work that you're doing that sort of was inspired by your experiences. You really turn this pain into purpose, as cliche as it sounds.
You know, it's taken quite a few years for me to get back to school. I just finished my bachelor's degree at the University of Houston downtown. I immediately moved over to the U of H Graduate College of Social Work. I will be walking May 8th with my master's degree. It is at the macro level, so I'm focusing in on political social work. I have a Facebook group. It's called Our Voice in Texas. I can help people engage in the process of changing laws. I focus on human trafficking legislation. So when the 89th legislative session starts in 2025, we have some bills that we want to pass to help survivors. And out there in the public, they can help us as well. We will let them know how they can advocate for legislation right from their home.
We've done several stories, you and I, since meeting initially back in January of 2023. We've talked extensively about how Houston specifically at times is referred to as a hub, given its location with I-10, the port, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. For people who say human trafficking does not impact me, what would you say to them?
I would say that once you are educated as to what human trafficking is, you're going to find out that trafficking victims are in our grocery stores, our post offices, our nail salons. It is bringing an awareness to what it looks like to be able to see something, say something.
Yeah. Well, we so much appreciate you in your time this morning. For folks listening right now who are in some sort of situation, if they are in dire need of help, what would be your message to them in hopes they can find that freedom they can get that help?
I would say call the National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, something that we've said often is that you might have to look beyond your nuclear environment. That lifeline, that help might not be within an arm's length, but it does exist. There are resources out there for you.
Exactly. And you know, statistically, we're finding out that familial trafficking is a lot more common than what we've seen. So for those victims, a lot of times they are victimized at a younger age. And so look for a trusted adult. Look for somebody that you can trust. Reach out to the National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Yeah, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.